Hello, my name is Lynette K. Henderson. I'm here at Tag Gallery on Wilshire Boulevard. This is my solo exhibition for 2024 entitled Animal Reserve. I have 3 sub-bodies of work that you'll see here. I'm primarily a painter. I have a series of what I consider to be drawings and a series of sculptures. All of the works deal with similar themes with wildlife as the central concept. I take a look at wildlife specifically and the beauty and the structure and anatomy and colors and so forth. Then I also include some environmental concerns. And one of the things I've been working with this year is downtown LA, because I've been coming here a lot and have been kind of fascinated with the night scenes with neon and so forth, and what kind of creatures might come out. Deserted streets are really interesting to me. They've always been really strange spaces. So going through LA, it doesn't matter when I'm going through, I see something I've never seen before in terms of buildings and houses and streets and so forth. But also there's not a lot of neon anymore. I was in art school when neon was actually a real popular art form. Shared some studio space with a neon artist, and so I was always really fascinated by the color generated by neon. I always loved the muted reflection, sort of atmospheric because it is a gas. And so I wanted to represent that, and it's a painting challenge for me. I wanted to see if I could do it successfully and to see what that would be like. Most of the artworks are based on my own photos of animals. The coyotes are much harder to capture in details. But my hope is that for the viewer, that they would make a connection to the animal as a personality. Not that they might see it as a domestic type, but that it's a being and it's a live being and it has a life. And to see it that way versus the attitude about certain types of animals that humans have had, where they're considered vermin or to be destroyed because they're a threat. And then my series of what I consider to be drawings are focused on portraits of the animals. I consider them to be specific individuals and structural and a little more freely expressive with materials. I still wanted them to be something the viewer could relate to, if I could get them looking at the viewer, and in fact the eyes are painted in, whereas the rest of the body is left a little bit more just about the structure and the light and dark. I consider them drawings because they're linear, a lot of line. So I drew with paint. I used a stick with, it was actually a paintbrush with like 2 little hairs on it, and they disappeared quickly. So it was really just stick drawing with the acrylic. And then the gray areas are ink washes. So diluting the ink and using a large ink brush, and then going back in with some white acrylic and some gesso, and some of them have Conte crayon as well. What happened there is I needed a break from the really intense work on the colored paintings. The sculptures that I have here focus on the environmental concerns with animals, the trash that humans create that flood their territory. And so, being that we're very close to La Brea tar pits, I use that as a concept for these artworks. And in fact, they have a sort of tarry surface in which you would find contemporary trash embedded along with the animals. All of the works deal with sub-themes around that main concept of wildlife. I think that humans are a bit overrepresented in art. Everywhere I turn, it's so many figures. People love to examine themselves. And in a way, if I look at us as animals, that makes sense. Animals are most interested in themselves and, you know, what their needs are and who they are and so forth. But for me, it's really animals and animal life, and humans are peripheral in that we create these environments that they have to try to survive in. Their resilience and also the loss is something that I have been concerned with.